Alright guys, so welcome back to From the Depths. Been a couple days, but just sort of needed to work on a couple of vehicles in this. So we're working on one now, just sort of need some time to set aside before we could make any more real progress in the campaign. So, what do we got here? Target prioritization. Well, we don't need that. Yes, so what we're going to do is here, we're going to go to control little box, put that in, and this is a code that I actually cannot remember where I got it, if this is the one I'm thinking of. Now, the reason for this is I actually got it through a link way back, and it was basically just a demonstration of what it could do. Now I'm going to try and find it if I can, but it's going to be hard to find. But I may be able to find it off of that name there. But hopefully, what it should do, if I quickly change up the missiles a bit now, what it's going to do is it's going to take away the missile ejectors on one side. I'll swap it over at the top. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is put in some lure transceivers. And what that'll do is it'll allow us to control the missiles through the lure code. And here we go. Then we're going to go to the missiles themselves, and so having radar seeker, we need where are they? There's the lure. There, lure receivers. Alright, so you need a lure receiver, and we could probably put another explosive warhead into it. Or we could go an extra set of fins just to make them more precise. Stop, we'll go the extra explosive. Alright. Assign design to all the same ones, save as EMP, go across and load it up. Edit, assign design, yep, alright. Okay, so what should now happen is these missiles should be controlled by lure that should be running quickly. Okay, so we'll just save it up as a prototype. We'll double check and we'll see if it's working. Alright, so back into combat. Do that. Alright. So let's put in more than one duster. Now these missiles should fire, and then they should split up between the two targets. The missiles are not firing. Okay. Nothing should have changed with that, so I don't know what prevented the missiles from firing. But we could always try firing them manually. So let's see what happens. Nope, those are absolutely not doing what they're meant to be doing. Okay, now there are other missile scripts I can try out, but this should have been one that I was using before that was meant to split up between different targets. But yeah, no, that doesn't appear to be doing what it's meant to be doing, I don't think. Alright, so yeah, we'll skip ahead to another. Got it figured out. Okay, so this should be the code that I was thinking of before. So hopefully we should be right now. And should probably save it real quick. Alright.
Taking control.
Let's see what it does. It's not launching its missiles yet. There we go. Alright, perfect. So what should be happening is the missiles split up and hit separate targets. Now I do need her to fire when she's further away, because that was way too late. But yeah, that was what we were looking for. Now, that means that this fighter can be saved up as my personal fighter. And what I'm going to do is edit another one to be controlled by Lua code. And that one I'll set up to so I have one or two of those flying along with my own personal one that I'll be controlling. And it should be much better at avoiding contact like that. So yeah, quickly get onto that. Alright, so this should be the Lua controlled version. Should be set. Just gonna make sure. Yep. Alright, if I let it go. There we go. So this one is actually controlled by Lua code. You can get on the forums. As you can see, it's pretty smooth the way it flies. Don't know where it's going. It's not meant to do that. What? Okay, so it's just sort of decided to go to a really high altitude, so it might need a bit of fiddling with the settings, but if we get it into combat, it should fight just fine nevertheless. So let's bring in like a Falconheim. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so it just ate those missiles. That's not great. I might have to turn... I don't know if I have missile avoidance turned on. I might have to switch that on. Hang on one sec. Destroy enemy vehicles. Strange. Okay. So, oops, into that. Where is it? Collision avoidance. Dogfighting. Here we go. Avoiding mainframe equals -1. Should be 1, I believe. Hang on. Okay, I'll apply that. Let's see if it avoids this time. If it does not, then it's still going to need a bit of work. But I know for a fact that the standard AI is definitely avoiding things at the moment. Okay, so that did appear. Yep, it does appear that it's avoiding. Now it's not firing, but I believe I know why I accidentally interacted with this. Where is it? There we go. Damn it. Can't interact with wireless transmitter. Back to 1. I didn't take note that I'd accidentally bumped that. I don't even know what that one died of. But we should fire our missiles now. Or we might not. There we go. Better late than never, I guess. Okay, it doesn't appear that the missile script is working now. Oop, okay, I just got sniped out of the seat. Probably not the best idea to be sitting in the vehicle while testing it. Alright. So, destroy enemy vehicles. And what I'm going to do now is get to the fighter. Okay, so I think it might be an idea to separate that stuff. Oops. Here we are. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to separate that into its own little block. Whereabouts I'm going to put it though. And once we got this in, we should be fine. Where can I put it? Stuff it. Yank that out. And can't put that in that way. Here we go. Alright. Apply. Okay, good stuff. Hopefully it should work again. Quickly save it. Down here. Alright. So let's run a couple of these. It's actually more expensive, but like than the previous version, but that's fine. Alright. There we go. Even our flares are targeting them. What the hell? But yeah, no, seems like everything's targeting just fine. They're not colliding with each other or the fighters. Let's give them a bit more of a test. Let's bring one of those in. Let's just bring in a couple of airships. Ooh, there they are. That are a bit heavier and usually take a bit more of a pounding, as our firepower should have increased from the extra explosive piece in the missile launchers, but also because we can actually have multiple fighters out here doing their thing now and hopefully avoiding everything. Just trying to keep an eye on them and make sure they are doing that. Now at the same time they can also repair each other. Oop, that one ate it. Okay, so yeah, they do still sort of cop hits here and there. But they're not doing too badly. That's fair enough. None of them are shooting missiles anymore, though. That's a little bit worrying. Oh, that one got a heavy hit there. Yeah, that seems to work alright. Destroy all vehicles. Okay, so the main thing that I wanted to test it with was the Falkenheim, because the Falkenheim was what we were up against. So, if I was to bring in one of these. Now, I believe we also had a bunch of other smaller planes with it, but I don't know if we can even summon those. I have no idea. Oh well. Alright. Bring in one. Okay, so we need to get one of those. Damn it. There we go. Let's see how it does on its own. I do want to test the lure-based one as well, but I want to see how this one does. For now. Now we're actually up against something much tougher than this. We've got like a... I don't know if it's sort of a custom version of this ship or what, but... It's, I'll leave it a surprise, but it's definitely bringing a lot more into the fight. So let's see how this fight is doing now, and this should be much more effective for what we're looking at. So, in that case, I've got one more vehicle I need to work on, and then we should be fine to get back into the campaign. Good stuff. So, may as well just watch this thing get it finished off. Actually, I could test out a couple of these things at once now, I guess. Because we may not even need the lure version. Like the lure controlled missiles will be helpful, but I mean the lure based flight AI likely won't even be necessary. Now that it's avoiding missiles ahead of it as well as behind it, and doesn't need the radar on the front. Should be right. Sometimes the missiles can be a little bit off, but they'll eventually find their target. The important part is if we do end up coming up against a whole bunch of enemies, then we should be fine to deal with it. Well, actually, a good example... I'll quickly restart the designer. I'll just give a quick example of what I mean. So we've got on our fighter 8 missiles from memory. So what I'll do is I'll summon one in all the way over here. And summon in crap ton of dusters. Now I figured, yeah, 1 or 2 would get crippled immediately at the start, but what we should now see is each of these missiles go after a separate target. And this one fighter should be able to down multiple planes at once. Now, Gibbeth, I think one of those survived its missile, but the rest did not. And yeah, here comes the second lot. So one of these fighters should be much more effective against multiple targets now. Its only issue is it may still sort of try and run at the enemy using the old AI. But yeah, so that's what it's made for. Should be doing its job now, and it should be much more effective for the rest of this campaign. So this was what it was originally good at. Let's taking on a whole bunch of stuff at once. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next episode of From the Devs, or maybe even in the construction for this other vehicle. So yeah, catch you guys then.